And three, and two, and one. What's up, George? What's going on in the House of Craze tonight?
In the House of Craze tonight, we have first clash between the Embrace and Strangle. Plus, we're going to be talking about what kind of salesperson are you when you hit that comic book con floor. We're going to discuss that. We're going to give you a couple of options. You decide which one you think you are. We're going to have a little fun with this topic. So it's coming right up.
Let's get it.
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your mans, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
Yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. All right, welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I'm your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man, Vera, and I am with
George the Dreamer Medina. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to another exciting episode of Catch the Craze. It is Tuesday, July 23rd. Kid, we're hitting August.
What's up, Lou?
If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the channel. Comment, like, do all that fun stuff. We are going to be bringing you, obviously, every week like we do, different artists, creators, and things of that nature. Plus, we're going to be talking about some of the topics that plague us sometimes as indie creators.
Right.
And we're going to be discussing that, the do's and don'ts, the don'ts that we've done so that you don't do them. And that is what's happening. Thank you guys for joining us. It's going to be a fun show. We have Michael Oden on. We're going to be talking to him about his book. And, we're going to be talking a little bit about what kind of salesperson do you become when you hit the Comic-Con circuit. But what's going on with you, Sonny? What you doing, dog? How you been? How was your weekend?
It was good. I was at the Texas Latino Comic-Con, and it was a fabulous show. It could have been a lot better based on where we were located. Because so it was, number one, the people that attended, that came to the show, the fans, the art lovers, the community, they came specifically to support independent comics and creators. They were there to embrace love, try new things, whatever. So, and it showed. I mean, because Duty was just flying off. I didn't have to, no pitches. I was like, holy crap, I don't even have to pitch. So that was fantastic. Hello, what's up, Ed of Zed? But we were not in the main building, or the main hall. So there's an outside parking area, and you start walking like an exterior hallway. It's like a hallway, but it's an exposed hallway, right? It's like a long path, right? And there's a door, but the door, there's no signage that says "Enter this way, artists in this room." And you keep going to the main hall where all the artists are. So there's only 5 of us. It's called the gallery room. There's only 5 of us in that gallery room. So a lot of the people that walked in were either they didn't realize we were there, or some people were just there for the gallery because it's also a museum. It's the historic center, the Latino Historic Center, or found out last minute that there was more people in this room. So I felt like there could have been a better opportunity to communicate to that group of people that, hey, there's other creators in there. But outside of that, I did more in the 5 hours, because it was 11 to 5 or 6 hours. I did more in the 6 hours than I did in 2 days in Comicpalooza. So it was fantastic. They were eating Duty alive. I was telling you on the phone that I had my head down because I was looking through some stuff, and I look up and there's a couple of people with a fistful of stickers and prints, and I'm like, they're just grabbing, right? And they were just digging it. So that was, for me, I can tell you right now. Hey, what's up, Daph? I can tell you right now, it's the first time like I truly felt like appreciated for my work. Like
Damn, dog.
it was like I felt like it was like I was at peace. I didn't feel like I had to try hard. I didn't feel like I had to be like all over and try to pitch everything.
Uh,
It was just natural conversation. And people were like, "Oh, tell me about this character."
Well,
Oh man, I love your art style. And
don't get
it was
don't
awesome.
don't get used to that, bro. You
I
know how
know.
it is.
I was
You know
also
how it is.
let me enjoy this moment, all right? Don't take that away from me, right? What the hell's the matter with you, you people, right? So,
Oh man,
but
I'm
no,
telling you,
it
don't
was a zen moment, and I was by myself, and it was a lot of I mean, I had, and I didn't even have my grids up. I didn't even have my props up, right?
that might tell you something though, man.
You
Like
know?
sometimes less is more. You know
No,
what
we
I'm
only had
saying?
1 hour to set up,
Well,
and so it
that's
was
what
a
I
great
mean.
race.
Well, that's what I mean. But less
It
is more
was
sometimes.
well,
Even when we're exhibiting, sometimes we
yeah.
think we got to put everything. You know what I mean? Because you got to bring them in. Also, I think because you were in a smaller floor, there wasn't that much stuff for them to kind of like look around for. So it's kind of nice that it was almost like an intimate spot. What up, Will? Daphne's in the house, and of Zed. Ed, what's up? Lou's in the house. But yeah, so maybe that's what it was. And now let me ask you this. So seeing the success that you had with a smaller setup, would you consider bringing it down a little bit?
Well, no. Not for the big show. For smaller shows, yes. For like these like small shows, if I'm doing book signings, if I'm doing small venues, yes, absolutely, I'll keep that same system. But for a bigger show, I need to like, for instance, one of the things that I realized even at the small show, like I have too much props on the table that take up a lot of space, right? So I had like all these risers for the stickers because I have a lot of stickers. I got about 42 stickers, right? So I was like, all right. So I invested in this one long, it's like a hanging solution, and it has all these pockets where I can hang this to put the stickers in the clear pockets, boom, 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 and have them all on display just hanging straight down. So that means I have to rearrange how I will set up my table to support that. So normally, you know how I normally have like the prints hanging on the sides or whatever. I'm
Mhm.
something with the stickers in that pocket, so I won't have as many prints out. I'm going to stick to the prints that I did. You see, I don't know if you saw the photo. I'm going to stick to that solution where I have that riser, and I can because that riser supports 36 prints, right?
Yeah.
So that's good for me because it's all there and you can see them all straight up. You don't have to flip through a book, right? Like I had last time to show all the stuff that I have. So
Yeah.
now it's right there. Boom. So that solution I'm going to stick with because it worked, because it was easy. It was just like bang, 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 bang,
I
bang.
think everything you did at this point worked. You know what I mean? Like well, there at that show, I think everything that solution right there worked. Now, if you're
Yes.
worried about getting lost in the shuffle of a bigger show and you want to go big because you want to be seen and stuff like that, okay, I can see that. But I think honestly, bro, like when I saw your setup, it was very clean. It was very clean. And I think that if you just throw your that thing that you like the frame that you have on there and keep your floor set up, I think you would
Yeah, I'm
probably
not going to
do
be using the grid
good.
as much as I did last time. The only reason I need the grid is for all of my trading cards, and my hanging prints. Daphne says that's a great feeling. It's been a while since the last show was in a fight. Yeah, absolutely. What's up,
Yeah,
Hugo?
Hugo. Yeah, man. Look, so, okay, so
Russ in the
just
house.
like you were in the so you were at that show. I was at Plastic City Comic Con this weekend. Great show, and it was another one of those things. Marco, what up? It was another one of those things where it was a great show, right? It was people came in, they
Mhm.
supported, they were buying. The thing with the grids, because I had a grid situation going on too, and I want to give a big shout out to Amy Gleason, who's Keith Gleason's wife, who's the showrunner of the show. She hooked me up.
Yeah, I know. That puppet was legit.
She gave me. Can I speak?
Well,
Jesus
you
Christ.
took it away from me. I got to take it away from you. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay, my bad, my bad, my bad.
Ah.
No, yeah. So the puppet, bro. She brought in the puppet. That shit was so cool. And honestly, it was a nice conversation piece, right? Because he's hanging out, and people are like, "What is that? Is that a stuffed animal? It's a puppet." And you would do it, they'd be like, "Oh," and that helped sell the book. But what I felt was with those grids, talking about those grids,
Yeah,
you feel like you're behind a wall, bro.
yeah,
And there's a big wall between you and your customer.
yeah.
And so when that wall is there, they almost feel like, oh, that's a wall. I'm not going past that. And they kind of keep going. So while it's great for display, it's also almost like a barrier between you
Yes.
and the customer that they
Yes.
feel like they shouldn't pass or they can't pass
You
through.
shall not
Right.
pass.
It's one of those things. Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like those grids, while they're great for displays, it doesn't help in the selling.
Yeah, which is why my solution for hey, I need that Wonder Duty at Thanos Duty. Yeah, that Wonder Duty was a cosplayer dressed as Wonder Woman. She was as tall as Wonder Woman who requested it.
I was like,
So
Wonder Duty? Did you do a Wonder Dog Duty matchup? Nice.
so because you're absolutely right, it creates a barrier. So but I need a grid system to hang some of the things that I have hanging. So it's going to be in the left side of the table.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
doing.
So I'm going to do on the left side of the table where I'm going to have what's up, Miranda? What's
What
up? It's going to be in the left hand on the table, and it's going to be it's a solution that it's going to cover the entire grid. So it's just going to be the stickers, right? So the grid's going to come to the edge of the table because that solution that I have to support the 36 stickers, it's 26 inches wide by whatever inches tall. It was about four grid lengths tall, right? And 2 grid lengths wide, right? So that's going to come straight to the edge of the table. And then the hanging solution will be on the side with the trading cards, boom, 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 boom. And then the rest is just going to be the prints and the books for the rest of the table.
Yeah.
I recognized that because I was like, oh, this feels different when I was there. And I said, oh, they see me.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding.
It is. And it's creepy because you're hiding behind these cages. So you're like a caged animal back there. You're looking through them like this.
Yes.
It's like, oh. And sometimes, it's a little intimidating. You know what I mean? Just do what you did in Houston, stand in front of the table.
Yeah, it's Houston. I had to work in Houston. I had to hustle.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I think that those grids force you to stand in front of the table.
Yes.
Because now you have to greet the customers
and then you feel like a creep when you're back there because you're like spying and like, who's back there?
I'm saying. Right? That's what I mean. So it's funny because you don't really realize it until you actually do the show, the things that can work and what is not going to work. And when I had my grid up, while I liked the way it looked, it wasn't good for sales.
Right.
So you're constantly calling people over to the table and stepping out in front. Let me talk to you in front of the table. Because now you feel like you're screaming and they're like, and you have that one moment to make the pitch and do what you got to do. But when they're able to just pick whatever they want, it's like you said, the sale is easy because they're just like, I want these. How much?
Yeah, it was because I had all of the prints front and center. You know how difficult it was for me to set up the prints and all that stuff, whatever. Now I just had it on one grid because I remember telling you, I went to my shed. I said, I know I have another riser, which is wider than the one I have with the existing comics. And this one was wider. And when I put all my prints fit on it perfectly. And it was just, they were able to see everything. And one of the things that I learned was having the stock on the table so they can grab them themselves rather than just having a picture of it. And then they, and they don't know, oh, is that available? Is that available? They could just go, oh, I'll take that. They start picking, right? Because it's more personal and intimate. They pick it themselves. Boom, boom, boom. They go, I'll take this. That's what it was. Most of it was just, I'll take this. And then I had to tell them this character is from my book, right? So they were drawn to the prints and the stickers. And then I was like, wait, but let me tell you about Duty. And then that's how I sold the books because it was actually the setup that made it more personal for them.
Yeah, that was the thing. That was the other thing we were talking about too. Is like how it's one of those things where you're selling prints and stickers, and the book becomes a second thing for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got to find a way to kind of like sell the book itself. Luckily for me, I don't have that many prints, so the book is what they're seeing. So I'm able to sell the book to them, and then take them over to the prints and say, hey, I also have prints. Oh, wow, I'll pick that up, I guess it depends what kind of audience you have at a show. Anime shows, the fans are usually more shy and prefer the built-out display.
Yes, and then anime, because it's a niche market, right? And it's a really loyal, diehard market, right? So, I mean, when you see, I was looking at a vlog, artist alley vlog from Anime Expo in California, whatever. The attendance was out of control, and some of these people were cashing in because it was just selling itself, right? And it was just like boom, 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 because it's the iconic characters for them, and there's some specific things that they all count on. But it was funny because a teacher, that was another thing, a teacher came over to my table and she goes, she was asking me about duties. She bought it. She goes, I want to take this to my class to show them what satire is versus copyright infringement. She goes, what you're doing is satire, which is why it works.
Yeah,
And
parody. It's
right,
parody.
parody. And they go, you're doing using parody, which is why it works. And my students don't understand the difference. So I want to show them the difference. And she goes, thank you for having this. Right. And we started talking about it. And she was telling me one of the biggest frustrations that she has is when she goes to conventions, she sees people just doing other people's characters. She goes, what you did was, I said, I pictured as Duty's the ultimate cosplayer. It wasn't a plan. It was something that evolved from requests, and it just took on a life of its own. And she goes, no, I think it's great. I think what you're doing is great.
Yeah.
How much did you use your span? No, I didn't have to use any of it. Oh, I used it with one. I used it one. There's a photo. If you look at the photos that I posted, Professor Sam in the house. What's up? If you, there was one photo with an older gentleman. He has like a handful of stickers. I had to speak to him in Spanish, but he was the only one I had to. Everybody else spoke perfect English.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's you talked about copyright infringement, and it just reminded me, just off the topic real quick, but for those watching, if you live in a tri-state area, whether it's New York, Connecticut, or New Jersey, Anyone Comics in Brooklyn is a comic book shop. It's called Anyone Comics. They're doing, on this Friday, they're doing a workshop, a copyright workshop. They're having a copyright lawyer come in to discuss how to copyright your intellectual properties. So if anyone's in New York and wants to take advantage of that, it's free admission. So they're going to have, it starts at 7 p.m. here in the East Coast. So if anybody's interested, Anyone Comics is having that workshop, which I thought was a good, which sometimes I'm like, why don't like comic book conventions have panels like this? You know, where like a copyright lawyer comes in.
They steer towards the celebrities, and panels have gone to the wayside.
Yeah, but that would be a great panel at a comic book convention, right? To have like a copyright lawyer come in and say, hey, this is how you copyright your intellectual property so they don't get stolen.
There's so much opportunity to educate today's creatives, right? On AI and the impact on copyrights, on new technologies and software. They can have tools. They can bring in experts comic creators that are experts with Photoshop and coloring. They could do a panel on coloring comics. They could do you know what I'm saying? There's so much that they're just not doing that they used to do at Wizard World. That's what I miss. Wizard World
used to do some
used
good
to nail
ones.
that stuff,
they used
man.
to have some really good ones, man. Really cool workshops. The C2E2 had one on AI copyright law, and that was interesting. And I felt like you could have had more of that.
Yes.
So you brought that copyright stuff that you were talking about this lady, and last week we were talking about the reason to do these things, and it's because you never know who you're going to meet. Like this, that's one of those situations. I was telling you about a guy who came up to the table, who was sent over by the person across from me, who said, "Hey, look at that book. It's got your name." So my book is Russ 5377. So the guy's name was Russ. So he comes over to the table, and I start pitching him the book. It's about this kid who lives in an orphanage or a home, and he happens to be a veteran, or is a veteran who lives in a home for veterans. His name is Russ. He's a veteran. The character's name is Russ. He lives in a home. He was like, I gotta have it. I gotta have it. So he bought the graphic novel, and then he bought the single issue to hang up on his wall. So it's one of those things that you never know who you're going to meet at these conventions. Those are the moments that you have with the fans sometimes when you just interact or do whatever it is. And it was great because he ended up buying both things, and he's going to take it back and put them up on his wall. But these are the type of things that you do, and these are the reasons why you do them sometimes.
Yeah,
situations
you never
like
know.
that, encounters like that. Thanks, Hugo. Yeah, no, it was really, really dope, man. Really, really dope. Nice guy. Russ. What up, Dan? Dan knows about conventions.
Yeah. But we do have a topic, so let's get that topic going.
Let's do it.
It's time for your medicine.
Who do you become when you exhibit at a Comic-Con?
So I've broken this particular topic down into 5 categories.
Break it down.
Who do you become, right? So you're doing this convention. You're hanging out. All right, that's got a comment. What's Daphne's comment before we get into it?
Anime Expo seems to have a rule that in Artist Alley, half of your product needs to be original. If you're an exhibitor, you can't have. Yep, exactly.
Wait, Anime Expo.
Yes, you cannot. You have to have original art. You can't have fan art at all. You can't be doing other people's characters.
Really? So the artist in,
And
Artist
yeah,
Alley can't have Goku up there. They can't have
not
any
unless
of that stuff.
they're actually
The
representing
license,
the company, the license, yeah,
they're licensed to draw them
or they're an official artist for the company. Like
for
you
that
have to
company.
prove all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
What?
they
Let
have
them
they have a lot
incorporate
more
that.
rules. They have a lot more rules. There's a lot of things that it's like it's crazy.
Why wouldn't they
Or and
incorporate that?
you can't go higher than 8 feet above your table with your banner. It's there's a lot of rules that they have.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. So
But
I've broken down the types of sales tactics used at
Word.
convention. Now, these aren't all of them, but these are the ones that I've noticed the most. Okay. The number one is the carnival barker, right? This is the person that's like, come on, come check it out. Come see what I got. Come to the table. He's screaming and yelling and he's really loud and he's doing this thing, right? You know this guy, Sam, the carnival barker.
Yes, I know those guys.
Have you had any encounters with carnival barkers?
Yes, we've seen that. Remember, we I think it was we were in New Jersey. Remember? Was it Jersey? We were at a convention, remember? And someone comes over to talk to us at the table. The guy starts shouting to them, "Hey, I got comics right here!" Remember? And he's like, there's no respect for the fact that we're talking. Remember? We were at that show where we did a panel.
Yeah.
I've experienced that.
That's right. That's right. Oh, big shout out to Nine Rails Publishing and Kerry Chug, who are in the house. The fan art thing, really? I see. I had no idea about that.
Who knows how long I can stay?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
The other one that I've seen is the strong silent type. Now, I'm calling them the strong silent type, but these are just people who sit behind the table and don't say anything.
Yes.
They're just in their thing. They're
meditating.
They're doing whatever they're doing.
They're
doing
praying.
Whatever it is. Now we've seen that. Now, what up, Brian? So in their defense, some of these are artists who are drawing, and I've heard, and on this show we've had, I forget who said this. I don't know if it was. I think I don't know. Marco's in the audience. Was it him that said he usually does that as a way to get them to come over and look to see what he's doing? Where he's kind of like drawing. Yeah. So that's a tactic that they use. But for me, it just feels like get up and say something. Talk to them.
Yes.
Age. But the strong silent tap does exist, and that is I think I see that one the most at cons, right? Then you have the standing at attention creator. That's the soldier, bro. That's Sam. Sam is that guy. Sam is standing up the whole time, ready to rock and roll. Am I right?
Yeah. I don't sit. Only time I sit is to eat, but then I stand up real quick when
or
I
if it's like dead, or if it's completely dead.
If it's completely dead, then I'm like, oh damn, slip my wrist, put me out of my misery.
That's it. I hate the carnival barker. That's the FD. You can have fan art at Artist Alley, but not an exhibitor hall because that's where the official companies are. Interesting. Then you have the construction worker. Okay. Now this particular person is the one who's going to talk to everybody coming by. He's always got something funny to say. He's got a nice little witty quip, trying to get people to come over. Hey, I like that shirt. Nice shirt, or hey, that hat, or whatever it is. Now, I tend to do that. I tend to do stuff like that. That policy was put in place by Shrisha about 5 years ago. I'm telling you, they need to bring that to regular Comic Cons. A mixture between silent and standing type. When I get bored of drawing. And then finally, the last one that I have up there is the car salesman. That's the guy that's gonna give you a pitch, that's gonna sell you this thing, that's gonna make it. You're not gonna be able to walk away from this guy. He is that good. Yes. So I like that Marco says he's a mix between the silent and the standing type. I'm a mix between the standing and the construction worker that's constantly talking.
William Russell is the car salesman. That guy, he pitches to everyone that comes by. He doesn't get
good. William's that construction worker too.
Like this.
Yeah. He's good. He's good. That guy. He's good. Daph, who are you? Do you have a type, Daph? I don't know if she's still watching. And anybody watching, what's your type? What do you guys do? What's your type of thing? Now, Sam, what has given you the most success? Have you tried anything else other than just standing?
I don't just stand there, bro. I talk to
Well,
people.
I'm just saying.
I make eye contact. What I normally do is I read body language.
Well,
And then
that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. You're standing there. You're
yeah,
almost like waiting for them to like, all right, is that the guy I should go after?
yeah. I'm
You're
sizing them
not
up.
the other guys.
I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at the ones who are just
Sizing
looking because they're
them
curious,
up.
but they're afraid to walk over, right? And I'm like, or if they're like 10 feet away, staring from a distance, I don't bother with them. But the ones that are within distance, where they can actually hear me if I say something, I'm like, hey, got a minute, right? Or I was like, hey,
It's good. Hey,
that,
how you
I
doing?
said, how's it going? And they're like, oh, I'm doing good, right? Sometimes just say hello. Hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm doing good. Then they pause. Hey, you want to check out this book? So I'll try something, and it's different with everybody because you get different signals from different people.
It's definitely different. That's why I'm more like the construction worker type. Whatever they're wearing, if they're wearing a shirt, if they're wearing. I remember when we had the guy that you did that piece for in San Antonio. He was decked out in San Antonio Spurs gear. So you start talking about San Antonio. You start talking about the team. Dan said he's a standard car salesman. Nice. Dan's good with his pitch.
Yes.
Dan's money with that pitch
because he hits him over the head with the belt.
Nice. The couple shows I've done, I'm a bit of a blend of talking with people and waving them over, and then silent type when I get tired and need food. Daphne says I have to play between the soldier and the silent type because if I'm drawing commissions, I have to sit and work, but that affects my sales because I'm not able to pay attention as much. Yes, that's where having a road dog helps.
Yes.
Right. So, and big shout out Jonathan in the chat. He was phenomenal this weekend for me. Like he was a mix between the carnival barker, you know what I mean, and like that salesperson. Not so loud where it was like obnoxious, but it was it was one of those things. Hey, come on over. What are you doing? Come here. Check this out.
Come on over. Come on over.
But again, that wall forces you to kind of do some of those things.
Yeah.
That we were talking about the setup, depending on your setup.
Yeah, I think all year I've been trying to fine tune my pitch, my presence, my table setup. I'm like, I'm like a mad scientist, always playing, testing, and trying. This past weekend at this event, it was the first time I didn't feel like it was work. Like I didn't feel like it was work. I just felt like, oh, this is what it should feel like. When people were there specifically for the art. I think we're competing with a lot of different priorities at a big event. I said here, I didn't feel that. I was like. At first, when I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work. There's only 5 of us in here. I didn't even have my banner up. None of us had banners up. So I was respectful to my peers there because they didn't have banners. And I didn't want to overwhelm them by having my banner up. So I was like, all right, since they're not doing it, I'm not going to do it. Right. So I made that decision. But it was the people that came in, it was just pleasant. It was a different experience that I haven't had since Big Apple, I think. Those days where people were there specifically for you and for comics.
You don't know what the entrance fee was, right?
I think it was free to the public, and they took donations.
There you go. That makes a big difference, bro.
Yes.
That makes it. The show that I was at, $10 admission, kids under 12 were free.
Yeah.
Like that's my audience, kids under 12. So when a parent comes in with a kid and he didn't have to pay or she didn't have to pay for them to get in, and they pay $10 to get in, they're going to have a lot more money to spend on us.
Yep.
So I think that's a huge, huge difference between the smaller shows that are geared for the public to come in and enjoy an experience like that, and the celebrity shows that are there for people to come in and meet celebrities and take pictures and all that other stuff. And they're charging, $50 to get into the show, $20, $30, $40 to get into the show. When you charge a decent amount, you're free. Shoot, no wonder they were grabbing stuff off the racks. Like, I got all this money to spend, bro.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference, dude. It makes a huge difference. Yeah,
yeah.
I almost wanted my show to be 2 days. It was that good.
Yeah, I was like, man, imagine if it was 2 days when I actually have to pitch. I keep it short and sweet unless the person asks questions. I hate being pushy. There comes a point where it's obvious whether they're interested. Yeah, whether they're interested. And then sometimes when they're on the fence and then you really have to go in because they're like, they're right there. They're teetering, so it's like, I try to read the body language. Like I saw, like an example was a father came with his son and they wanted, the father wanted the stickers, right? And I pitched duty to the son, right? And the father's looking and the son's looking and then they leave. They come back. The son's like, I want the book. The father's like, I'll take the book. So he got the graphic novel. They leave. They come back. And like an hour later, can we get it signed? right? And then he goes, how can we find out more about your stuff? I said, oh, it's on that trading card. Just scan the QR code, right? So it was like they were thinking about it, leaving, right? So I mean, you never know with people. I think the biggest thing is no matter what you are, your purpose there is to engage. Your purpose there is to interconnect, and to try to sell your project to the masses, right? So if you have your head down, you have to learn how to look up if you're by yourself. If you don't have a road dog, you got to keep it up. If you're doing a commission for somebody, just make sure you keep it up, keep it up. And I think one helpful tool, if you're solo by yourself and you're taking commissions because that's your bread and butter, right? Because that's where you get you pay for the overhead with the commissions. Make a sign. Ask me a question. I'm doing a commission. If my head's down, just ask me a question. I'm just doing a commission. Now they look at the sign there. They're like, oh, let me. So now they know they can look around, whatever, and at least they can say, just, oh, hey, by the way, how much is this, or whatever it is. So find whatever works to communicate. The more ways you can communicate them, the better. I find that having price points makes it easy. So I have the prices there. I found that having the product available at the table, that's a way of speaking to them for you. All the ways to try to make it easy for them to just grab.
So we were at the show, and Jonathan has a good comment there. Sometimes just having a pleasant conversation with them gets you out of the rut. But he also, and I got to give it up to him for this, because I mean, you've worked in retail for a long time. Jonathan's done so as well, and he made a good point. He said, you know what I try to do when he goes in? He's like, I try to get the no's out of the way. So like, you're gonna get no's. You're gonna get people say no. Just start and don't be afraid of getting the no, because once you get the first no, the second no, third no, get them out of the way. Just keep getting. Eventually, somebody's going to say yes. But it's about not being afraid of hearing the no. Not right now, because remember, at the beginning of the convention, in every convention, people walk in and they are doing a loop. They're walking around. In most conventions. Now, obviously, when there are 5 people in a room, that loop is very small. They're there to buy. But when you're on the main floor, okay, and you are the first table they see, they're gonna walk around and they're gonna say, "I'll be right back." Some of them do, some of them don't. Give them an incentive to come back. Whether it's like you give them trading cards. I have a spinning wheel that I do. I give them a card that says, "Hey, come back for a free spin," and they come back for a free spin most of the time. So, but it's about not being afraid of hearing the no's. And I thought Jonathan made a good point of get the no's out of the way. Just hear no. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Because the hardest thing, especially in a one-day show, bro, like when you don't get a sale until much later, like, it's the day, they're like, yo, it's already like 10, 11 o'clock, and you start getting a little nervous about the fact that you maybe are going to have a bad day. But then all of a sudden it just clicks and everybody starts, you know what I mean? There are those moments when that happens as well.
Yeah. And I think, we'll top it off with this because we have our guest coming.
Oh, nice.
But one of the things that they did was whenever they had Lucha Libre, right? So they had wrestling matches, and then that was in another building, right? And then they had a whole full arena with whatever, and but they had it broadcasted on all the speakers in all the rooms, so you couldn't hear anybody talk. So once they Lucha Libre, everybody left, right? So I'm like, oh man! So you had to wait till the matches were over, intermission, for them to break out and come back, right? So it's like, there were moments where like, oh man, right? So now you have to wait, and you hear the fight matches and everything. Oh, you hear the doom and the slamming. That's like.
So the room would be empty during those matches?
Yeah, they would break out to go to the fight. Yeah, it was interesting. I was like, I wish they would have just held the matches at the end of the event, not during the event, right? So they brought a whole mix of people, and there were people who were just there for the fights, the wrestling matches, who happened to walk in the room and said, "Oh, what is this?"
Were there vendors around the like in the wrestling match?
I didn't go to. I couldn't even find where it was. Because I was by myself. I didn't want to leave my table alone because I was so far away from everything. Damn. I said, by the time I come back, my table's gonna be gone, right? So I was like, I'm gonna stay by my table the whole time. But yeah, I think that was an opportunity. I felt like they should have had the matches like around at the end at 5 o'clock instead of during. But outside of that, it was a great event. Yeah, so with that said, we have our guests in the waiting room, but I just want to remind everybody that I do have an art channel, and if you haven't checked out the Art of Samuel, here's another reason why you should. What's up?
What up, guys? Thanks so much for having me on.
How's it
Anytime.
going, Michael? How's it going? How you doing out there?
Oh, living the dream, on that indie comics grind.
That's what I'm talking about, my brother. So, Michael, for those who don't know who you are, introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Michael Oden. I am the creator and founder of Nine Realms Publishing. I started my career in indie comics 4 years ago with my first book, Elysian Fields. And, whether it's been foolish or awesome, the past 4 years have been a blast, just working on books, writing them, and, paying to get them produced and crying at my bank statements at the end of the year. So
that's it. So you started 4 years ago. So during the pandemic is when you started.
Yeah,
putting
pretty
together
much. Like around that time, things were kind of going a little bit rough for me, and so I decided to start up. Comics were something that I've loved my entire life, and before I got into making them, I was actually doing a lot of freelance industry journalism.
Oh.
I got started back in 2015, 2016. I was writing for Movie Pilot, and then they had a whole thing where anybody could write for them. But occasionally they would see somebody with potential, and then they would bring them through their verified creator program to be paid journalist. And so I was one of those people. I did a review on Superman Rebirth issue 2 that got noticed. They reformatted it and pushed it out across their pages, and then they brought me into their verified creator program. And so from there, I worked with Heroic Hollywood. I did that for a little under a month. That was miserable. And then I did my own blog for a while and started working for Up Your Geek, just doing occasional op-eds and reviews. And so I had a lot of people going, hey, why don't you do your own thing? And, around 2020 was when crowdfunding started to have a really big boom.
Yeah.
I had finally, taken the time to actually work on making my own script. And so I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. There was a lot of stuff going wrong at the time. I was going through a separation, and it was a mess. So I started creating to help cope and try to focus on something positive. And, I love it.
Nice, dude. Nice. Do you have any formal training in writing? Do you have any English degree, or how'd you get into the whole doing,
always been into storytelling, what have you. I have a degree in history, which is a lot of writing. But yeah, and I've taken creative writing workshops and everything like that. But I've always been a big storyteller. When I was in college, I submitted a few of my short stories and chapters for books I had planned on writing to contests, and had placed and even gotten hit up by some smaller print publishers that I would have had to pay to get published, but they would have handled my optioning to studios and all this other stuff. But I got discovered by a few people. So I've always had kind of this natural knack for storytelling. I'd like to think anyway.
What's the genre that you enjoy writing the most?
That's hard. I mean, I really like delving into history, obviously, and stuff like that. But I think one of the big things that I've done recently is kind of stepped out of that comfort zone. It's funny because for the longest time, people were like, why don't you create your own superhero? And I would always respond, do you have any idea how fucking hard it is to make a superhero that will catch? And then my biggest book that I have done is a superhero book that was a character I created. And it's one of those things where I feel in order to create a hero that really speaks to people, you have to, it's a lightning in a bottle thing where you're going through, you have the right idea, right time, and it's directly connected to something you're going through. And that's what happened with me in The Embrace. So
I was going to ask you what is that superhero? So The Embrace is that superhero story.
So he is the superhero. It's this kind of it's this story about a grieving father who lost his son and in an act of desperation, he's about to take his own life when the ghost of his son comes in and stops him. And so they come in for an embrace, and our main character Clarence is given a vision of what happened that night through his son's eyes. And so he sees the people that were responsible. And when he comes to, he's in a super suit powered by his son's ghost. Wow. And so together they are this spectral hero going out to bring his son David's killers to justice.
Nice. So now is this going to be like a one-shot kind of thing? Is it an ongoing series?
It's a mini series. It's a mini series. Like I have it planned for 5, maybe 6 issues. It honestly just depends on how issue 3 goes. There's a lot of heavy narrative lifting that I've got to do in issue 3, so I might end up having to split it into 2 books.
Gotcha. That sounds cool, man. Where did the idea come from? How did you come up with that?
So it's a bit of a blend. There's the like emotional thing that was going on. So at that time, I like separation had turned into divorce process, and the big thing that had come up was the issue of custody. I have a 6-year-old son, and so I was going through a custody fight, and there was this one moment that kind of triggered something for me, and it made me reminded me of a story that I read shortly after my kid was born, where they'd found this kid's body in a park that I used to walk through all the time in Alexandria, Holmes Run River Park. And so like the fear of losing my son to custody is because like everything that you read online is like, you know, you're screwed. Like pretty much it's very doom and gloom from a guy's perspective. And I mean, I was fortunate. I did come out on top of that. Like I did very well, but like still in that moment, it's hard to see anything but, you know, the darkness and the, like it's kind of a stacked deck. And so that made me think of like this kid where like, you know, when James was first born, like I saw this article, and like the first thing you obviously think of as a parent is that could have been my kid. Right. And so that's where the idea of like David and Clarence came from. That's where their story came from.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a great story, dude. That's a great story. I mean, you never know where inspiration is going to strike. And sometimes what we're going through in our lives at the moment can generate an idea. And you're like, holy cow, I got it. This is it.
Yeah.
Now, when you start writing or when you create your stories, are you a plotter or a pantser? In other words, are you somebody who sits down and plans, or are you somebody who sits by the seat of their pants? You just kind of write the story.
It depends on the story, to be honest, right? Like a perfect example. I have a script that I'm working on that I have a story that I've been working on here recently. That is effectively a retelling of Thermopylae from the Persian perspective, right? That story, like, yeah, I sit down and I write the issue, but like I had to plan out first, okay, how many issues do I want this to be? Like you have a very specific timeline that you have to deal with in this, and then you have to tell the story and do so in an adequate way that maintains the suspense and everything like that. To keep the audience invested. So you have to plan in that instance. But then there are other things, like when I wrote the first issue of The Embrace, you know, initially I was having issues visualizing the character. I linked up with the artist I ended up using, and we got him designed. And as soon as I saw that the character's design, I didn't do like any planning. It was just, I wrote it, and within a week and a half, I had the first pass of the script. So it was like there, it really just depends on the project and what we're doing.
Does that affect the pacing for the rest of the story though? Like when you do something like that, when you just write that script, do you now not worry, but are you now looking into, so what's going to happen in 2, 3, 4, 5, and do I have to split? Like you said, you got to pick 2.
Pacing was less of a concern. Building the world after I had already wrote it was the difficult thing, like figuring out the metaphysics, right? Where we have a character that has a ghost. So, okay, this means that there's an afterlife. What are the powers that be? How does this work? What has this happened before? Like, you know, you have to kind of be prepared for these things. And so that was really the big issue. Is I had this first book, I wrote it, got it out, and it was very successful. But then it was like, okay, Now I have to figure out how everything freaking works. And then the other hard thing with it was when writing the second book, and people were pestering me about it for a while because they wanted more, was I was in a specific place when I wrote the first book, and then things got a lot better. And so it was very difficult for me to go back into the headspace to write that second script.
Yeah. It's like that rapper that raps about his, the hard times coming up in his life, and then he makes a lot of money. He's like, what am I going to rap about now? Can't rap about
exactly.
I don't live there anymore. But so explain. So you said that you had to figure out some of those things. One of the things that you said was he wakes up, he's got this suit.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit without spoiling anything? Where does the suit come from? How does it work? Like, what is the metaphysics of it?
It's literally his son's ghost. So like when you look at the character design, you will see these small hands that are coming up from like the shoulders and onto the collarbones and like across the rib cage and up. And even on his feet, you'll see like these hands. These are supposed to be emblematic of David's hands protecting his father, right? Like that's all part of the design.
Right.
And that's all been meticulously thought out in it. And the way that his suit works is very similar to like, symbiote Spider-Man shoots out the tendrils and stuff like that. He's able to shoot out these spectral hands that are like kind of like, for lack of a better term, we'll just use ectoplasm because it already exists, right?
Sure, yeah.
But it's like spectral energy where he's able to shoot out these hands and grip onto buildings and do all that fun stuff. And the fun thing about it is that you look at this and you hear the initial pitch and you think, man, this is going to be a really dark book. But the thing that I think surprises people is half of this character is an 8-year-old kid who has made him and his dad a superhero.
Right.
There's a lot of levity to that. So you have like a lot of banter between the two of them about like the comic books they used to read together and stuff like that. And they're living out the childhood dream of being a superhero. And like, there is a levity there, and it's something that is very fun.
That is awesome, dude. So do you believe in ghosts, Michael?
So yes, I do believe in ghosts. I'm not an incredibly spiritual person. I would say that I'm like an agnostic. I don't necessarily believe in any form of dogma, but like I've also studied what it takes for life to form on a planet, and the idea that there isn't something that occasionally gives things a push is something that's mind-boggling to me. But like, and I do think that even when you look at like law of conservation of matter, energy, a matter it can neither be created nor destroyed. It merely shifts forms. So like, I do think that, as we are effectively components of stardust, like it would make sense that, especially if we weren't really ready to move on when we go, that our energy just kind of sticks around, like from a scientific standpoint.
Right.
But like, even still, I think that ultimately I would like to think that there's something more, right?
Yeah.
And that comes down to obviously human fear of mortality, and you can go on a whole other rant with that.
No, and you know why I ask you that question is because like, depending on what you believe, I guess, and where you are as the mind space you're in writing the stories, where we're going to go with the story, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends up, because the way you set it up is great, because they're either going to find the people who killed his son or they're not, right? That's the thing. That's what we're going to do here.
Yeah.
And when and if they find them, what's going to happen then? So there are a lot of questions already that are being asked, and it's kind of awesome for the story.
That's one of the things that I also think is really powerful with this book is there's this kind of dynamic between justice and vengeance. So at the end of the first book, they catch the guy that held the knife, right? The guy that did the physical killing, but he's in a gang. So there's more people. So but the question is, David, the son, is there to save his dad. But at what point is the dad going to realize that David is still dead?
Right.
and he needs to move on with his life. At what
Yeah.
point is enough going to be enough for him?
That's
And
where it's going to be.
that's
It's going to be deep.
that's where I think the real strength of this story is helping people realize that it doesn't matter
Right.
what dark part you are in your life. There is always another chapter ahead of you. And while it's difficult to get through the darkness that you're in now, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And you owe it to not just yourself, but the people in your life to push forward, because you never know what that chapter is going to bring.
Yeah.
And if you just hold on to the darkness and you stay in there and allow yourself to be shrouded by it, then that's the real tragedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, dude, this book sounds amazing. Now, for those who are interested and want to pick up the book, where can they get the Embrace?
So right now we have our Indiegogo campaign for the Embrace 2, which has a catch-up tier, where we have a beautiful cover done by Joel Gomez. And we've actually partnered with the Virginia Victims Assistance Network on that.
Yeah.
They're an organization, and one of the that helps a lot of victims of like violent crime in Virginia. But one of the things that they did that really spoke to me is they have a support group for homicide survivors. So effectively, the friends, family, and loved ones of victims of homicide. So so what we're doing is $5 of every one of those covers sold goes to them.
Okay.
To help those support groups.
That's great, man. That is great. Daphne has a comedy. I logically don't believe in ghosts, but if you tell me a place is haunted, I won't come.
I mean, hey, why risk it?
Yeah, I was in Massachusetts this weekend doing a show, and we went to a haunted house. We did a tour.
Boston has a lot of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was the SK Pierce mansion or whatever. Supposedly it's haunted by like the two kids that died there, and like as they're giving us this tour, they're like, if you see things or whatever, don't mind, this is the ghost. And it's like, it's kind of creepy, right? But much to like Daphne's point, is like, if it's haunted, man, sometimes you just don't want to go. They were telling us stories about like there was a kid who lived across the street who would tell his dad or his mom, hey mom, I want to go play with the kids across the street. And they're like, what kids? And it was the ghost of these two little kids looking out the window at this other kid, telling them to come play. It's kind of freaky stuff like that. You know what I mean?
100%.
But your story is when you talk about ghosts and all that, it's very interesting to me. So I think I'm going to have to check this out. Lou says, I'd go.
Yes, exactly. I'd like to stay at a haunted castle in Ireland.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Daphne.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It is good, man. But see, and that's the key, right? That's like you were saying, there are so many superhero books. What's going to be your take? What's going to make yours different? And that's the key. Haunted place of fun. New England is good for it. Yeah. Tons of places. But yeah, listen, Mike, thanks so much for coming on, my friend. This is amazing. For those interested in picking up the book, The Embrace 2, the link is in the chat. Yeah,
and in the summary.
Yep, and in the summary. So check it out. I'm gonna have to check it out. I don't normally go on Indiegogo, but this sounds really, really cool, man. So I'm definitely gonna check it out.
I will say we will be doing both Fund My Comic and Kickstarter as well at some point. So the plan right now is we do the 60 days on Indiegogo, then close up shop, then kind of let it sit for a week, then launch on Fund My Comic, do it for like 30 days, and then then finish it up at Kickstarter and wrap it up there.
Are you still selling jelly hands?
Oh yeah, that was there.
Yes.
Right? You've got jelly hands.
So that's part of the collector box. When we were doing the first book, my artist Dean James was like, you know what we should do? We should get those like glow in the dark sticky hands that you used to get at the fair. Can we do that? And I was like, I have no idea. And so I looked for it, and sure enough, we absolutely could. So like that became like our trademark thing. Is you can get like in our collector box, you get the Embrace sticky hand. And that there will never be an Embrace campaign without those silly damn things. We love it.
Good for you, man. Good for you. So Fund My Comic has been good for you. All the platforms pretty much work well.
So this will be my first Fund My Comic. Indiegogo has been very good to me up until the past 2 years with the start of the shadow banning and all. Like we launched literally as soon as we launched, we've been shadow banned. So
Wow.
like you cannot find us on there. And I've reached out to them multiple times. I actually just sent in an email to the Better Business Bureau today because I was like, I'm done with this, because they take like 8% as their platform fee, which is the highest of all of the platforms. And but like all in all, I've done very well over there, right? Like the Embrace raised, the first Embrace raised over 15K, and we got to like 10 or 15 countries outside of the US. It was very humbling. And pretty much every single one of my books that we've done over there has broken the 5-figure barrier, with the exception of the first 2.
Awesome, dude. What about on Kickstarter? Have you been on Kickstarter yet or not yet?
I've done 2 Kickstarters. The first one failed, and that was on me. The second one was a second chance for the Embrace one that we did back in May, and that we succeeded, and we raised like between 3 and 4K. I can't remember the exact. And then I am as I said, we'll be doing one for the Embrace 2, and then I am doing a Kickstarter for the reboot of my launch series, Elysian Fields, which I'm very excited about. It's looking gorgeous.
Well, listen, with shadow band and all, I mean, 15K was amazing.
Well, I mean, 15K was on the first book before the shadow banning stuff started. That now, like our second book is at 6K. We are at 200% of our funding goal, and I still think we'll pass the 5-figure barrier on Indiegogo and what have you. And even if we don't, we'll have plenty of campaigns going on afterwards. But I'm pretty confident. We've only been live for a week and a half, and we're on track to pass 7.
Good.
Awesome.
Good stuff, Mike. Thank you so much again for coming on, my brother. If you're welcome to come back anytime. And,
absolutely.
It's been fun, man. Good luck with the project.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Peace.
You got it.
All right.
Good stuff.
That was Michael Odin. The Embrace 2. Link is in the chat. It's on Indiegogo. Go check it out. 19 days left. And it's also in the summary, in case you missed it in the chat. Yeah, man. Yeah, but don't you have a show coming up soon?
I have Wicked. Yeah. We didn't even go into the shows.
We didn't even go into the shows.
We didn't go what's going on next week.
Yeah.
Wicked Comic-Con is happening. It's happening next month, August 10th and 11th. wickedcomiccon.com. Go, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, go to wickedcomiccon.com. And before you check out, type in Get Your Meds. So Get Your Meds with a Z. And you're going to get 10% discount on the tickets. So that's going down August 10th in Boston. I will be out there for the 2 days. So that's going to be a good time. And then in September, I'm going to Baltimore. In New York, I'll be back in New York for the New York Comic Con. So man, we got some stuff going on, dog. Yeah, man. And then next week, I will be at Bell County Comic Con in Hall E. I'll be bringing the Dudester and the Super Friends with us, and these will be the 2 latest new prints that I'll have available at the show. One to Duty, and this is Duty as Billy Kid, which is a really fantastic manga character. Those are the new prints that'll be available at the show. I'll be in Hall E, which is right at the entrance. So, bam! So that's gonna be dope. I'm looking forward to it. Set up on Friday, and it's a Saturday and Sunday show, so it's a 2-day show. So it's going to be pretty dope. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be my first time there. And then the rest of the year, I have quite a bit of shows. I have, where are they? Here we go. So we have Cowtown College Comic-Con, College Station Comic-Con, and Denton Comic Art Expo. So I'll be at those shows this year as well, and that'll be wrapping up the year for the conventions. So lots of stuff happening. Good, man. Yeah, dude, it's addicting. It's addicting doing these shows.
Yes.
It really is. It really is. Well, when they're good. When they're bad, you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I still doing it?
when it's bad, you go into your feelings, bro. You get up all up in your emotions and stuff. You're like, oh man, feelings. Whoa, 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 feelings. Right? It's like pobrecito. Yeah. So, but yeah, it happens. It happens to all of us, and all that psychological mumbo jumbo that you run yourself through, like that first day, and it's slow. You start making excuses. Oh well, they're just looking today. They'll make. Tomorrow's gonna be better than tomorrow comes. You're like, oh well,
and these are the things you can't do on a one-day show. Like there is no tomorrow. It's like there is no tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like,
what do you want from me, Adrian? Yeah, it's So it's one of those things where you have to be all in. So like even with this one, I'm going by myself. It's in a main entrance where the ticket booths are and everything. This is gonna be a crowded area, so I got to be standing. What's crazy is that bathroom breaks, bro. It's like if I leave, I gotta wrap up my table because they'll jack me up because it's in such a highly trafficked area. There's nobody to watch, right? So I'm like, oh man, so I gotta hold it in or have a bag or some sort of tube inside or something. It's crazy. It's like, yo, I gotta create a curtain, but it's like, but that's the tough part, right? Because I'm not in the pit with other artists where I can just say, hey, yo, I'm gonna step away for a second. Can you keep an eye on it? They'll be like, oh, I got you, but I'm in a really highly trafficked area, so it could go either way, so we'll see what happens. But I'll have my cooler with all my food and everything packed in the cooler, so I don't have to worry about running and getting me food. It's gonna be interesting, man. But that was another great show. I'm trying to reschedule next week's Tuesday show for either Thursday or Friday. So I'll align with George to find out what day he's available, Thursday or Friday, and to move our guests for next week to those days because I will be traveling for work. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I can do Thursday and Friday because even Friday I'll be at Bell County setting up, but I have the evening free at the hotel, so I can do it from the hotel. Right. So I'll take my laptop and everything. But yeah, man, anything else, bro?
That's it. Check out getyourmeds.com. I want to give a shout out to my nephew who's starting to do he's on his artistic journey. He's an artist, and I had some of his prints over at the show this weekend, and he did pretty well. So check out the Lotto C collection on my website. Order a print; they're only $10. Check it out. We had a pretty good show with the stuff that he had there, and man, we'll be back next week. Maybe not Tuesday. Later on in the week, I'll see.
Later on in the week. So we'll line off air, and then I'll send the communicate to our guests for next week, and see if that works for them, and then we'll go from there. But thank you, everybody. What's up, Dismay? And then just showed up late to catch the rewind. Yeah, thank you, Lou. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Yes. Thank you to Hector Rodriguez, the promoter of the Texas Latino Comic Con.
Hector Rodriguez, word.
Yeah. You stellar came and introduced himself to me. Thanked me for all the social media posting that I did to promote the show. He goes, man, you on fire. So that was great. Great connecting with them. So thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Wish you all health, wealth, and prosperity. With that said, I'm Sam the Crazy Man.
Hey, whoa. Hold on a second. Oh, what happened to when we grow the industry? Where's that?
All right,
where was that sign off?
Hold on. All right. So you know who we be. You know who we are. We are Cast the Craze. We are the OGs. We are the originators. We are the original independent comic book podcast. We're the first of its kind, and we're the only one of its kind. So when we grow, the indie community grows. Your support means more eyes on our guests, and that's why we do the show. So please hit that like button, subscribe, share with a friend, recommend the show. We appreciate every one of you because you are now part of the Craze. With that said, I'm Sam the Crazy Man, Vera.
No, it's the Dream of Medina.
And we are out. It's not.
Crazy. Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
he described me. He said, I'm the
what? Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.